Hey, how's it going? Today I'm talking about just finished Princess. Now what?
This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for injury-prone Run Disney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong without feeling broken or held together with KT tape as they cross the finish line.
Congratulations! You just finished your race from Princess Half Marathon Weekend. Whether you did the 5K, 10K, half marathon, or 2-course challenge, or all of the events, congratulations. In this podcast, I give guidance on what to do now, how to train as a slow, back-of-the-pack Run Disney runner. Whether you run, walk, or exclusively walk these events, this information is geared toward you. It's important to know what to do next, right? So that you stay consistent, you stay motivated. I want you to achieve all of the goals your heart desires. And I hope this will help in a small way to get there. So you just finished Princess Weekend. No matter what distance you ran, take time to rest and recover. This is the biggest thing for you to do now. Whether you are or are not doing Springtime Surprise, whether you are or are not already signed up for Wine and Dine, take time to rest and recover. Many, I'm going to say people out there will say, oh, well, it was a 5K. Oh, well, it was a 10K. I don't need to rest and recover, or you don't need to rest and recover. If these distances are the farthest you have gone, you need to rest and recover. In my professional opinion, it matters less the distance you're running or walking, the distance you're doing for this event, and more of how much stress is this putting on your body. For somebody who regularly runs marathons and has run them recently or is currently training for a marathon, a 5K is less stress on their body than somebody who only does 5Ks. So it's less about how far the distance is and more about what you do on a regular basis for training. There are many Run Disney runners, Run Disney participants who 5K is their distance. And if that's the case, even though somebody else is doing the 2-course challenge, you both need to take time to rest and recover. When you are doing endurance events like this, 5K, 10K, half marathon, 2-course challenge, those are the ones for Princess Weekend, so those are the ones I'm talking about now. If you're doing them, that is some stress on your body. You need to give your body time to recover. If you have ever been somebody who in training, you lose motivation and you're just like, I just don't want to do this anymore. Training needs to be over. Race day needs to come. I just don't want to go out for my run today. If you've ever been that person, or if you've ever gotten to a point consistently in training where you're like, God, my knee always hurts. My hip flexor always hurts. My IT band, I just can't get past 8 miles without this body part always hurting. If you have been that person, your body wanted you to rest and recover 6 weeks ago, temporarily, for a short amount of time. Make it part of your regularly scheduled routine, part of your race experience to take 2 weeks off to rest and recover. I'm not talking do nothing. If you follow my free training plans that you can find on my website, if you're not following them already, go to my website, download a free training plan. That includes the 2 weeks of rest and recovery. You'll notice it's not doing nothing. There's a lot of walking. There are rest days, of course. It's the goal of rest and recovery is to stay mobile, stay moving so that your body can recover from the stress that was put on it for race day, any micro tearing that happened in muscles, tendons, ligaments. That is a natural part of endurance events. It's a natural part of the cycle that your muscles, ligaments, tendons, things go through, the cellular level. Give your body the time to recover from that. So you can do some and not too much. Because if you just, as an example, just did the challenge, you just recently did the challenge, Princess Fairy Tale Challenge, 10K and half marathon, it's a lot of stress on your body. 19.3 miles over the course of 2 days, plus any park time, plus the early morning wake ups, plus any flying that you've done, plus just the stress of traveling. All of these things are different types of stress on your body, and it can make you feel more run down. It's why you're more likely to be sick after a race. Yes, of course, you are likely to catch illness just being in close quarters at the parks with all the rides and being in close quarters, being in the crowds in close quarters. But if you were at your optimal, maybe your body could have fought that off. But you have all of these other stressors on you, plus the physical stress on the muscles, ligaments, and tendons from the 19.3 plus miles that you just did. Because, right, we never just do 19.3 miles. It's always a little bit more. Getting to the corrals, the weaving in and out of people on the course. It's never just the race distance that you do. It's always a little bit more. 2 weeks rest and recovery. So it's 45-minute walks, 30-minute walks, stretching, getting professional massage, foam rolling, massage gun, eating protein. Protein gives your body the building blocks it needs to build muscle, tendon, and ligaments. Now is the time to go all in on the protein, whereas pre-race, it was go all in on the carbs. 2 weeks. I recommend not running until day 10. So if race day is Sunday, I recommend waiting until next Thursday before you run again. And that first run, 45-minute easy with a 10-minute warm up, 25-minute of the run, and 10-minute cool down. I do call it a 45-minute easy, even though it's only 25 minutes of actual running or run walking. The rest is warm up and cool down. That's just the name of the workout. The whole time takes 45 minutes. The warm up and the cool down is part of the workout. And then that weekend, you could do 45-minute easy again, or maybe it's back to a 5K. My runners who do this in Stronger, Faster, Finisher, they are more excited to keep training for their next race than when they jump right back into it Tuesday morning. Giving themselves the 2 weeks of rest and recovery, that 2-week mark, I will give an example. One of my clients did Dopey, and 2 weeks, the Monday, 2 weeks later, I got a message that said, I'm going to read it. So on January 26th, which is 2 weeks after Dopey, this runner texted me and said, I'm putting all of my workouts into my calendar and getting very excited about training again. Woohoo! I'm over Dopey burnout. 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later. That's one example. I had another example from a runner. I was working with her recently, but this was from a couple of years ago. She had done Dopey 2023. Yeah, 2023. And we started working together in May of 2023 for Dopey 2024. She told me that Dopey 2023 to Princess 2023, she did nothing. Until 1 week before Princess, she went out and ran a 9-mile long run just to check to see if she could do it. That was her litmus test, right? Like, if I can run 9 miles, I can go and do Fairy Tale Challenge next week. She didn't do anything for 8 weeks because she was so over it. Fast forward the week of Dopey, the week after Dopey 2024, having worked with me, I got a message on Wednesday after Dopey that said, do I have to walk this or can I run it? And I said, trust the process. Please don't run it. Wait until next week to run. And then she was super consistent being able to train for Princess. And that's what happens when you work these structured strategic breaks into your training plan. You get excited to train again and you stay consistent. There's no waxing and waning. There's no, oh, yeah, it's been a month since I did a long run because I just don't feel like it. Or something more important has come along, right? Like, it's never that we're like actively thinking, well, not never, but most of the time it's like, oh, I have to do this other thing. And that becomes the priority instead of running. I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to stay consistent and I don't want you to have to start all over again. So you just did Princess. Let's say you don't have another race to start training for until Wine and Dine. Wine and Dine training starts June 15th. Marathon weekend, Dopey, Goofy, and Marathon starts June 29th. I'm having my Stronger, Faster Finisher clients actually start earlier, June 8th. Spoiler alert, and if you're in Stronger, Faster Finisher doing both Wine and Dine and Marathon, Goofy, or Dopey next year, you're starting a little bit earlier to accommodate for this rest and recovery after Wine and Dine. But what are you going to do? If you just did Princess, are you going to do nothing until Wine and Dine? I know many runners, Springtime Surprise is not their favorite. That seems to be just from like chatter on the internet, that seems to be less popular because it's so hot and humid, and runners are doing Wine and Dine Marathon and Princess Weekend, and then it's like a separate group almost that does Springtime Surprise. Of course, that's not the whole grouping, but I am seeing that like Springtime Surprise sells out not quite as quickly. It's a very interesting dynamic. If anybody has any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear it. Run Disney DPT over on Instagram. But we don't want you to do nothing between Princess, March 1st, and June 15th. That's 3.5 months. That's a long time that you could be doing something. That part of training, I call it phases. There are 5 phases to a successful running journey. That phase is your build phase. That is the time to build strength, to build speed. Now, of course, you can still build strength and speed somewhat when you're training for your next race, but you can't make that the priority. So it does get limited, right? Like you are doing strength training during Wine and Dine training, but it's more important to do your long runs for Wine and Dine training than it is to do an hour strength workout. Whereas when you're in this build phase between March 15th to June 15th, that is optimal time to work on strength and speed. You don't have to log long miles. Just maintain 3.1 miles so that you can hop right into training June 15th, right? So you take 2 weeks off, rest and recovery, 2 weeks off, quote unquote off, rest and recovery. Then 2 weeks later, so March 15th or so, whatever that Sunday is, have that be your first 5K quote unquote long run. And if anything, just do 3 months worth of long runs of 3.1 miles if you want. Now, this is if you're doing half marathon or 2-course challenge. The distance might be less if you're doing 5K or 10K distance. Let's talk half marathon, 2-course challenge distances. So you're cycling through 3.1 miles every Sunday. You can do that. And then work on getting 3 strength workouts in a week. Test your 1 rep max. And then do 3 strength training days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at your heavy weight, right? If you've been listening before, I talk about heavy, medium, and light weights. That's all based on your 1 rep max. Do heavy, and then you really build up the strength. But you don't need to worry about your legs getting too tired or your muscles being too tired before a long run, because your long runs are short. Or you could focus on speed and do 2, maybe 3 speed workouts a week. Because if you're keeping things low on distance for your long run, you could do more speed workouts. I don't know that you need to, but maybe you want to. Maybe you like speed workouts. I think minimal effective dose 2 a week is great. And you could work on getting faster. You always start with your pace test. Test your easy, moderate, hard, and your walking interval pace. Work on that, doing the cycling through the 4 different speed workouts, 30, 20, 10, progression, tempo, and hills. And then test again right before Wine and Dine and see what a difference your speed workouts have made on your pace. Most runners I work with get 60 seconds per mile faster in about 6 weeks on average. So, but that's in the first 6 weeks. After the first 6 weeks, it's not another minute every 6 weeks. The amount does go down, but I have runners who, over the course of just under a year, have knocked off 3 minutes per mile on their easy, moderate, and hard paces. 3 whole minutes, going from a 13:54 for easy to a 10:31, I think. Imagine going from 13:54 for your pace for your half marathon to a 10:31 pace on your half marathon in less than a year. And that runner started working on it in the build phase, leading up to training for dopey. That's the best time to work on it so you don't have competing priorities. You can work on strength and speed at the same time because you can manipulate your schedule to make it work for you. Are your legs going to be sore? Yeah, maybe. And that's what hot Epsom salt baths are for, right? Olaf likes warm hugs. Dr. Ali likes warm baths, hot Epsom salt baths. I prefer the hot Epsom salt baths over the ice bath. I think it's more effective for me personally. Some people like cold. You could do a cold plunge. Okay, great. That will help reduce soreness. Keep up with your stretching. That will help reduce soreness. Keep up with your professional massages and foam rolling and massage gun, and that will reduce soreness. And work on your strength and your speed during these 3 months. 3 months is a long time. You can get a lot done in 3 months. And then you start off wine and dine or dopey training a minute, 90 seconds per mile faster. How amazing would that be? Think about what pace you just did for Princess. Imagine if that was 60 to 90 seconds per mile faster next year because you spent the time right now in this period between Princess and when your next training starts. Let's call it wine and dine or dopey, which is mid-June. Imagine if you spent that time working on strength and speed during the time so that it doesn't have competing priority with getting the long runs in, right? Like, imagine if you took the time that you spent doing the long run and you took that time, split up a couple of days a week to do strength training, right? Instead of going out for a 3-hour long run on the weekend, maybe it's 40 minutes. So now the difference is 3 hours minus 40 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes. Split up 2 hours and 20 minutes somewhere over the rest of the week, or even some of it just on that long run day, and use that for strength training. And you should already be doing some shorter workouts during the week, so that's still the speed workout time. But imagine if you could do that in over the course of 3 months, and then once the training starts, you can tone it down on the strength because the long runs are ramping back up, and it's equal, right? Like, as the long run distance goes up, the amount of time strength training could be going down, and we can reverse it. Now your long run distance has gone down, so your strength training time can go up, and you're still spending the same amount of time working out each week. And you don't need to worry about, oh gosh, I need to find all of these extra hours. No, you have those hours. Let's utilize them differently. And maybe you can't break it up over the course of multiple days because that's the 1 or 2 days that really you have the time based on your schedule to get a solid workout in. Okay, great, no problem. But now you're not using that time for the long run. Let's use that time for the strength. And imagine what next year's race could look like. How many more character stops you could get? Would you have time for a castle photo instead? Could you sleep just a little bit longer? Because, you're going to be in Corral E anyway, but maybe you don't need to be at the front of the corral, so you can get there right before the corral closes just by utilizing this time now to train differently in the build phase before the training phase. This is what I recommend my clients in Stronger, Faster, Finisher do, and this is what we work with. Once training has stopped, we figured out, okay, do we want to work on strength? Do we want to work on speed? How are we organizing the week? Some of my runners, they want to do the marathon next year. Maybe they did Dopey this year. They want to do the marathon next year or a half marathon as their furthest distance. And they're not doing any other Run Disney races right now. We've set up already the next 3 months building up the speed so they pace test again, get their new numbers. That's how I knew that runners' new numbers. She actually just texted it to me the other day. That's why it's top of mind. And we made it so that she's using those new numbers in her speed workouts, and we're making her speed workouts longer because now we can. We couldn't do it when we were training for Dopey. The speed workouts could not get any longer because we had competing priorities. We had to pick and choose what's more important. Doing the minimal effective dose, kind of the bare minimum to cross that finish line, or do we want to really work on really work on speed and risk being fast enough, but not being able to go the distance? So it would be faster, but she wouldn't be able to keep up for the whole 26.2 miles or 48.6 miles over the course of 4 days. So they would be faster miles, but it wouldn't be a finish. So we couldn't do that then. But now we just cycle through some shorter long runs and build up those speed workouts. So she's going faster for longer, and that will translate to faster times for longer amount of time when it comes to starting Wine and Dine or Marathon Weekend, Dopey Goofy, or marathon training. So if you just did Princess and you have no other races until Wine and Dine training starts in June, work on strength and speed now and let me know how it goes.